Friday and the important announcement coming out that may make stimulus a whole lot more likely. Also, the important announcements that were just released over the last couple days that are showing some major concerns with the overall health of the economy and the consumer. I have all those details for you here in the video. Let's get into it and talk through the details. All right, now first off, just yesterday morning, I was out in a separate video where I was talking about December 6th. That just so happens to be this coming Friday. Well, the morning of that day, we're going to be getting a very important economic data point that is going to show us a very key number that we need to know, and this may make stimulus a whole lot more likely going forward. To put it into perspective, 1 month ago, we got a very important announcement, which was actually the same economic data point, but it was for the previous month, and it showed some very, very dramatically lower numbers than we were expecting, and that does not look like a very good sign for the overall economy. And remember, you've heard me say this before in other videos, the overall distribution of stimulus is when the economy is not doing very great. But more on that in just a minute. Let me share with you really quickly here some announcements and some different articles that were released over the last couple of days here and showing the overall health of what is going on right now and why this is pretty concerning. Again, and I'll share with you that here in just a second. So let's pop this article up on the screen right now really fast here. All right, so obviously the last couple of days here have been Thanksgiving and Black Friday and then the weekend, obviously, and things like this. This is when people are out spending money. We've got a license to spend, right? That's literally what Thanksgiving does for everybody. It's like, hey, everybody gets a license to go out and spend all this money, right? Well, here's what we found. On Thanksgiving Day alone, consumers spent $6.1 billion, which was an increase of 8% over last year, when consumers spent $5.6 billion. So that's a lot of extra money. That was just on Thanksgiving Day, to put it into perspective, right? Now, on the next day, Black Friday, we spent $10.8 billion, again, just on Black Friday. That's nuts, okay? That's a lot of money that we're spending on all kinds of stuff. But here's the major problem that I want to bring to your attention. We found on a year-over-year basis, buy now, pay later increased by 10.3%, or $430 million were accounted for with buy now and pay later. Now, why am I concerned about this? What does buy now, pay later do? It helps people that can't afford something today basically buy something that they technically can't afford and then pay for it at some point in the future. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably just like a lot of other people. Floating balances on credit cards. True, I do that just like a lot of other people do, right? However, in my opinion, floating a balance on a credit card is very different than using a buy now, pay later. Reason being is, buy now, pay later has huge, very, very high interest rates. Don't get me wrong, credit cards do too, but buy now, pay later is basically somebody coming in and saying, hey, I'm tapped out. I've got no money left. I can put a little bit of money down on something or no money at all. I'm going to use this buy now, pay later program. I'm going to buy something that I probably shouldn't be buying and then pay for it at some point in the future. Oh, by the way, there's going to be massive interest attached to that. That's not really something that I would want to do, and definitely not something that I would advise doing at all, because that's a very expensive way to finance something. That's just my opinion about that. Now, again, the major concern about that is, again, this accounted for $430 million of spending just on Thanksgiving Day out of the $6.1 billion, okay? It's a big concern, and it went up 10% on a year-over-year basis. So that's what I'm kind of concerned about, is that when we see these statistics like this, what this tells us is that people don't have any money. We're all tapped out, and people are going to these other strategies like a buy now, pay later to basically get things that they want now, but probably can't afford, and that's why they're using it. Again, a risky strategy in my perspective, but that's just kind of the concern that I'm seeing, okay? So, again, I don't think it's any shock to anybody that we're all pretty much tapped out at this point, right? So anyway, just another little confirmation point saying, yeah, we're probably getting to that point where people are literally running dry these days. I don't know. I find that to be a little bit concerning. All right, so anyway, now let's talk about Friday, okay? What is going on Friday? We're going to be getting, oh, by the way, this is a follow-up to the video that I had out yesterday. I've had a bunch of people reaching out on that video saying, hey, what's the deal with this? And can you explain further, stuff like that. So anyway, here's how I'm going to explain it further on this. So here's what this is. It's the non-farm payroll number, otherwise known as the job number, okay? This is the job report that comes out the first Friday of every month. The last one we got out was a month ago on November 1st. That was for October, okay? That one came in at a whopping 12,000 jobs. That's really bad, by the way. I'm being a little bit sarcastic right now when I say 12,000 jobs. It was really 12,000, but it was really bad. That's very, very low. That's a terrible number. That's a really terrible number, okay? My point is, here's what else is very interesting about this. Again, I've said this before in other videos, and I said it just yesterday, which is this. This time of year, historically, again, you know this number that we're going to get on Friday is November's jobs report. What happens in November? A lot of hiring, a lot of seasonal workers being hired for the holidays and whatever, right? That's no surprise at all. If we see this number come in on Friday, and if it is very weak and it's a very low number, that's going to be a major, major warning sign. Alarm bells will be ringing that, hello, this is not a good sign. The economy is not very great if that was the case. Now, if we see a very strong number, we may look at October's number and say, oh, yeah, it was just an anomaly. You know, we shouldn't have seen that. Whatever reason, you know, this, that, and the other reasons is why that number came in so low at 12,000. That could be the reason. If we see very strong number on Friday, we could see, oh, okay, maybe we're not so bad off after all. Maybe things are better than we actually think. But if we see a very low number, again, in my opinion, that's going to be very, very concerning because we should see a pretty big, healthy number because of all the seasonal hiring that came in the month of November. That's my opinion about that, right? Here's another thing as well. When they come out with these initial numbers, so what they do is they give us this, all these different announcements kind of bundled all together. We get the initial jobless claims number, right? Or the non-farm payroll number. So this number is released and they say X number of jobs were created in the previous month. In this case, it's going to be November. So they might come out and say, oh, 40,000 or whatever the number is, right? Whatever the number comes out to be, they say 40,000 jobs were created in November. Okay, the unemployment rate did what? They tell us, okay? The unemployment rate went up, went down, held the same, okay? And then we also get average hourly earnings, we get labor participation rate, and then we also get revisions to the last 2 months. They tell us, hey, sorry, we miscounted the last 2 months here, and this is what we're revising by. This, in my opinion, is going to be another very, very key number that comes out here. And if it's bad, if they revise way down like they have been the last couple months here, they've been revising significantly lower. If they come in here and revise lower, I wouldn't be shocked if they try to hide that and try to just pump up the numbers as far as be like, oh, but look, 40,000 were created. Again, I'm just saying 40,000. I have no idea what the number is going to be at this point. I'm just saying 40,000 just to be consistent here. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if they try to pump up the number that's created and kind of shrug off and pretend like, hey, don't listen for a second here, but oh yeah, 50,000 were revised lower for the last 2 months or whatever the number is. If that's the case, we would be negative for the month of October. That's bad, really bad, or really bad for the overall economy, especially when they continue to tell us, oh, this economy is so robust. It's a booming economy. Okay, that's good. I mean, a booming economy is great. But I've said this before in other videos as well, and I'm going to say it again really quickly, which is, if we get no change whatsoever, as in we have this so-called booming economy under our feet, and we got this whole thing that's going on right now, if we don't see any change, as in a major economic contraction, a recession, anything like that, if we don't see something like that happen, guess what's going to change? Yeah, you know the answer. Absolutely nothing. Nothing will change. Why? Nothing changes unless you get change, right? Have you ever heard the saying, if you want to change your life, you need to change your life? Literally the same thing, right? If you want change, you got to change. Literally what it comes down to, okay? Same thing with the economy. If the economy does not change, you get no change. So my point is, with all that, is that if you're sick and tired of the high prices, if you're sick and tired of the inflation, if you're sick and tired of feeling like you've got no money, guess what? That's not going to change. Unless we see something change with the economy. That's my point behind all this. Now, here's the thing. At the end of the day, there's going to be a recession at some point, whether it's in 3 months or whether it's in 3 years. I don't know. My point is, at some point, we're going to see it. At some point, this economy is going to get whacked real hard, okay? Here's my opinion about the whole thing. I would say this much. Please give us a recession. Why? Because it's going to reset. Think of a recession as a reset. All these people out there are saying, oh, a recession is so bad. I look at it as a reset to the overall economy, a reset to purchasing power, a reset to inflation, a reset to prices, a reset to a lot of different things, right? A reset to our finances. Not such a bad thing. Why? Because when we see a recession, when we see a major economic contraction, what do? The same thing every time. You've heard me say it a million times before in other videos. They print money, tons and tons and tons of money. They do it every single time. They give it some fancy name, quantitative easing, Operation Twist, TARP. There's all these different names. It's all literally the same thing. It's basically a big, fancy, sophisticated name to distract us from what it really is. It's called printing money. It's literally printing money. That's what they do. Why do they print money? To stimulate the economy. That's all it comes down to. They need money in the economy to stimulate, to buy goods and services, to basically pump up prices and create demand, whether it's, official demand or artificial demand, whatever it happens to be. It's all demand in the economy, which ultimately drives the economy higher and kind of revitalizes things. Literally what they do, right? So again, my point is, a recession, if you're looking for money of any kind, whether it's whatever it happens to be, more stimulus, whatever, just take your pick. There's all kinds of different things. It's like a buffet. Remember back in 2020? It was like a buffet. Take your pick. What do you want? Do you want some enhanced unemployment benefits? Go ahead. Get some unemployment benefits from your state. Oh, by the way, the federal government will top it off with another $600 on top. Well, you want some of that? Yeah, go ahead and take it, right? It was available for basically everybody. And there's so much money flowing around. Stimulus checks, you want some? Yeah, go ahead. Take some stimulus checks. You want some advanced child tax credit payments? Go ahead. Take some advanced child tax credit payments. Get some $422 on average per month for the next 6 months, right? They were doing all kinds of stuff. It was crazy. There was money everywhere. It was just there for the taking, because they wanted it to go out. That's literally what the purpose of it was for. It's just, hey, take some money, go spend it. Literally, that's what they wanted us to do. And that's what they told us to do. And that's what they gave us money to do. Here, go take this money and spend it. That's literally what they come down to every single time in an economic contraction or a recession. It's all the same old song and dance. The names change, the dollar amounts change, but it's all the same focus: stimulate the economy. Make sense? My point is, long story short here, if we see a really bad job number coming out on Friday, it could be game over for this thing. It could be really ugly going forward. If we get negative revisions to the jobs reports over the last 2 months, again, bad news. It's going to show that massive lack of hiring is coming into this economy. That's not good for the overall economy. You've heard me say before in other videos. In my opinion, the most important economic data point that we get every single month is the non-farm payroll number, because it gives us a broad look at the overall economy. When the economy is not doing good, businesses don't hire. When businesses don't hire, you see contractions in the economy. Unemployment goes up, people spend less money, businesses don't have the money to hire people, they don't have the money to stock inventory, and the cycle goes on and on. It's like this vicious cycle that goes round and round, and everybody gets kind of swept into it, right? And then we see an economic contraction because the economy slows down. Make sense? Anyway, you've heard me say all this before, but I hope that clarifies it for those of you that have been asking in that video yesterday. Hope that clarifies it. And again, I hope you find these reports that I shared with you earlier in this video a little bit interesting as well. I find this to be very interesting to see all this playing out right now. Anyway, I'm here for you. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Totally free to do so. Big subscribe button down below. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being part of this community. I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can be. Let me know what you need from me down below in the comment section. I read as many comments as I can each and every day, just trying to do what I can to keep up, okay? Otherwise, please feel free to share this video. There's a share button right down below. Feel free to share it with your friends on social media, or just 1 or 2 people that you can think of that benefit from this information. Go ahead and do that. Thank you. Otherwise, feel free to like the video. Thumbs up button down below. Check out the other well over 5,000 videos here on the channel in the video library. The popular videos I've hand-selected for you down below in the description or the top of the comment section, and right now showing up on your screen as well. You'll see some videos there. Thanks again. Really appreciate it. Have a nice day. Stay warm out there. Cold weekend here, and have a good one.